Hi, this is Heather Bayer with another week on the front line. This is a new format for us, and we're going to be testing this out over the next couple of weeks, actually doing the newsletter in a video format. Along with it, we have relaunched our YouTube channel, and you can go and check in the link below. Go to the YouTube channel. There's a ton of stuff on there. It's stuff I've done over the last couple of years, but we've never really promoted the YouTube channel, and we've decided to pick up on that. One of the reasons is that some people have said that the podcasts are nearly an hour long, and there's a lot in there. And if somebody's out exercising, driving the car, jogging, whatever, and I know I do exactly the same thing. Something is said and I think, wow, I really need to go back and listen to that again, but I never do because I can never find it. So what we're going to do is pull out some of the, I won't say best parts, but pull out some of the specific parts from the podcast and create short bite-sized videos out of them, and they'll go onto the YouTube channel. So that's it. That's what we're doing at the moment. So another week. We are into the third week of July. Another 6 weeks to go. I know my friend Andy Medic at Sea Change Vacation Rentals knows exactly how many weeks or days there is till the end of the season. I haven't got around to counting it that way yet, but it's like 3 or 4 weeks in, and it seems like we've done a whole summer already. We're just finding that although we're not getting a huge amount of complaints, the ones that we are getting are showing that people's tolerance levels are much lower. Their emotions are much higher. And when they get angry, they sure get angry. And we've had a few people yelling down the phone at us, and we've had to deal with this type of entitlement, I guess. Ever since cottage rentals opened up back on June the 5th. So we are at 100% occupancy at the moment, and we can only see this carrying on. We listed a new property the other day with a couple of weeks of availability in August, and it went within the first 3 minutes. We have a wait list of over 500 people who are simply waiting on a new listing or a cancellation. So this has been great, in fact, because we are increasing our email list because of this. So if you're not out there doing that, that is definitely something you should be doing right now, is to open up a wait list. Even if there's no chance of you getting anything for them, at least you are pulling in their email addresses and they're leaving you their information. But as I say, we've had a few issues. I'll give you one example. At one property, a rowboat went missing in a storm. And this often happens, it happened before the first guests arrived, and the boat, I guess, wasn't tied up very well. There was a massive storm, and when the owners went down to check on their watercraft, the rowboat was gone. And I used to live on the water where boats would just go floating past all by themselves. Sometimes a sea-doo all by itself would go floating past after a storm. If they're not tied up well enough, then they're off. And sometimes you'll see them advertised and on a local Facebook group, we've found a pedal boat, we've found a rowboat. But unfortunately, many, many times they just disappear and never to be seen again. And this is the case with this particular rowboat. So we've gone to all the guests and we've said, we're really sorry. The rowboat that was advertised is no longer there. Now, the owner has been searching high and low for a replacement. And I don't know whether it's because, parts come from different parts of the world to create rowboats, or the rowboats themselves come from different parts of the world. I don't know, but you cannot find a rowboat. And kayaks and canoes are pretty hard to find as well. But this owner has found another paddle boat. So she has put the paddle boat in place. But we've had a couple of guests who have just gone absolutely ballistic because this rowboat isn't there. Now, given there is no motor on the rowboat and you have to sort of pull the oars to get it moving, you'd think that maybe a paddle boat might be a better option. But this one guest was, and the word is apoplectic, I think, and just totally over the top angry because they couldn't have this rowboat and their vacation was going to be ruined. It was awful. They wanted at least half their money back, which was not going to happen. You know what we did? We bought them an inflatable. We actually bought it for these guests, not to leave at the property. We ordered it for them to pick up from a local store. They were able to go to the local store, they picked up the inflatable, and they were able to take it to the rental, use it for the week, and take it home. It was theirs after that. So it cost us $150. Now, what we have is super happy guests now. So they had their boat that they get 2 or 3 people in. I mean, it probably won't last longer than a month or 2, but it was robust enough for them to go out and take their kids out fishing, which was what they wanted. And they just, I don't know, maybe a paddle boat wasn't manly enough, but whatever. That's what we did. And we've got happy guests and we're out $150, but we've got the goodwill. We have the goodwill now. So I want to give you my tip of the week this week. And I'm going to do a short video on this, and it's about problems. When problems happen, what do you actually do? So I want to talk about the 3 whats. This is what we do with every issue that comes into us. We ask 3 questions. What is the problem? What are the guest's goals? What does the guest want out of it? And what are the options? And this works perfectly for every single issue we get. And it really takes it apart and makes it much clearer to go through. So in the instance of the rowboat, what is the problem? The problem is that a promised amenity is no longer there. And it could be that they rented that property just because of the rowboat, because they wanted to get in and do a little bit of rowing out into the lake. So the problem is that the promised amenity is not there. So the guest goals. So we really need to explore what their goals are. What do they actually want? And in this case, they really didn't want that refund. They wanted that promised amenity. So what are the options? We looked at a number of different options. We tried to find a rowboat. We looked at rentals. Could we rent one for the week? And then we came up with our final option, which was, well, let's buy them this inflatable, which gives them the same sort of experience. But we didn't have to spend $800 on a rowboat, which we couldn't find anyway, or $500 or $600 on a rental, which we couldn't find anyway either. But it's this 3 whats process takes us through every single issue we have, and it really helps our staff work through the issues that they have. And often, we say, well, if you've got an angry guest, just get them off the phone and then think through your 3 whats. And then at the end of it, you do come up with your different options that you're not trying to do on the fly on the phone with the guest. So that's the 3 whats. I'm actually going to expand a little bit more, and I will put that as a video onto the YouTube channel. You'll be able to go and have a look at that in a couple of days. Okay, we're talking about entitlement in the podcast today. And we keep talking about, people being more entitled these days, and whether it's due to COVID, I think it probably is. I don't know, you've been cooped up for months and months, and you feel that the world now owes you something. So entitlement is the fact of having a right to something. And of course, we're entitled to things like a pension, if you've paid into a pension plan for years and years. But you're also, the word entitlement also means the belief that one's inherently deserving of privileges or special treatment. And of course, we've been hearing a lot about this over the past month or 2 as well. But the way I'm looking at entitlement is the way our guests are expressing their entitlement. And the podcast this week is called Short-Term Rentals in the Age of Entitlement. And I have a ton of examples of different ways that people have expressed entitlement. In the last few weeks of our opening, and just there's one example that stands out, that we changed our check-in, check-out times. So they were checking in at 4 p.m. and checking out at 11. And because of COVID-19 cleaning, we've changed them to checking in at 5:30 and checking out at 10:30. Now, the majority, once again, 90% of guests have been more than happy with that. They're happy that we've got a cleaning schedule, a COVID-19 protocol. But the 10% are just not happy. And it has spawned this odd mathematical thing where people are telling us that they've lost. Yesterday, somebody said, now you're telling me I've lost a day and a half of my vacation. And we're trying to figure out how 2 hours, the extra 2 hours between check out and check in, is losing them a day and a half of vacation. We're working on it. We're working on how we manage that. And if you listen to the podcast, you're going to learn some of the solutions we've got to. I actually go into a little bit of psychology of complaining and how we handle different types of complainer, and how we come to the solution that we end up with. And of course, not everybody's happy. You can't make everybody happy all the time, but we can make some of the people happy some of the time. And we just have big apologies to the rest. So that's it. That is another week another week on the front line. And I'll talk to you again next week.